City of Groton Mayor and Council meeting for Monday, August 4th, 2025. Clerk McCurry, please call the roll.
Mayor Hedrick, Deputy Mayor Debo, Councilor Piazza, Councilor Talley, and Councilor Sheffield.
Okay, you stand to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In recognition of awards and memorials, I want to thank everyone that was involved with Groton City Day. I want to thank the staff that was involved, the committee that was involved working in almost the last year in order to make this event happen. Let me be clear here. So the members of the Groton City Day committee were Jackie Nardone, Maureen French, Michelle Baker, Dan Bogues, Mary Hill, Val Kochmeter, Jessica Pavent, and Laura Zapiri. So it was a great event, and it was our 40th anniversary, one of the largest in the last 20 years, best attended to people's knowledge, people that have been here that long. And we had a lot of new things, and we spread it out a little bit. We also had, in addition to Groton City Day, we also had the music, the concert, and as a result, we had discussed parking and the impacts of parking. We had a lot of parking, but we also had more people that came out, so parking was an issue. As a result of that, we had a contingency to utilize Field 1 in the outfield as a contingency to put vehicles. The Field 1 was evaluated, and it was determined to be firm enough, and based on previous conditions, it was controlled by Parks and Rec staff, and we parked people there. It wasn't willy-nilly. There were no donuts in the infield, anything like that. The evaluation was made based on Meridian Street and the municipal parking lots being full. The field was evaluated afterwards and no damage has been identified. It has been used on previous city days to put vehicles in the outfield. That has happened. And if you remember last year, it was used in a food truck festival, and there were vehicles parked there without any damage to the field. So the Fitch High School softball team is through with their season. We will have the fall and the winter and the spring to evaluate and to groom the softball fields if we need to. So I just wanted to make sure that that was addressed because it was addressed on Facebook and there was some concern. I just want to make sure everybody knows that thank you for your concern, but there's no damage to the field and everything's going to be fine. So that's that. Anything else on recognition, awards, and memorials? Okay, moving on, receipt of citizens' petitions. Receipt of citizens' petitions, a portion of the council meeting where the council welcomes comments from citizens. To address the council, please sign the sheet on the table in the front of the meeting room. When you're recognized, please approach the podium. Clearly state your name and address. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or less, and citizens should, if possible, submit emailed or written comments. Presentations should be related to matters pertinent to the City of Groton. City councilors are only asked questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation and can respond during the response to citizens' petitions portion of the meeting. Was anybody signed up?
No.
No one signed up, no one's online, and there's no one in the audience to speak, so we're going to move on. We're going to move past response to citizens' petitions comments. We'll move to the next portion of the agenda, which is approval of the minutes. I'll take a motion to approve the special committee of the whole meeting minutes for July 21st, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. I'll take a motion to approve the mayor and council meeting minutes of July 21st, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any corrections? We have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Take a motion to approve the committee of the whole meeting minutes for July 28th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And I'll take a motion to approve the special mayor and council meeting minutes of July 28th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Moving on to communications and reports. Councilor Piazza.
Thank you, Mayor. Went to the City Day and enjoyed all of it. And thank you to all those who participate in setting it up. I know they were starting it, especially since it had rained the night before and into the morning. So thank you all to who were involved in setting it up and participating. And thank you to the citizens who came and enjoyed. And I also went to the concert that night in the park, and that was enjoyable also.
Thank you. Councilor Taylor.
Thank you. Yeah, I enjoyed City Day as well with my family. It was wonderful, lots of events going on, and we really enjoyed and appreciated all of it. So thank you so much to Parks and Rec and everyone involved that was helping out. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Sheffield.
I sadly wasn't able to spend more time at City Day. Had to go to work in the evening, but obviously when I got there, not long after 5 o'clock, it was very well attended already. So it was a great event for the city that night, and in perfect weather too. It was absolutely gorgeous that night. So that was even the better part of it. The weather was perfect. So and definitely thanks again for all the staff involved in getting this done. It was really done well. And secondly, sadly, heard about the Connecticut Sun moving to Boston in 2027. So that's kind of a sad note after they assisted in the Washington Park basketball court. And so, you know, obviously the growth of the WNBA created this. And you kind of knew eventually, you know, the franchise would move on. And like I say, unless Connecticut's going to build a huge, arena somewhere nearby that would, house, 15, 20,000 people. It's too bad that Connecticut, that the Mohegan Sun doesn't have a venue that large. So, but again, thank them for being part of Washington Park, and we hope that the franchise will continue to prosper in their next destination. So, thanks all. Thank you.
Well, the good news is we still have them here for a little bit, and we do have clinics that are scheduled later this year. I think 2 of them are going to be scheduled in either August or September. And so once we get that additional information, that'll be shared. Okay, Deputy Mayor Depot.
Thank you, Mayor. I volunteered again at the mobile food pantry on the 25th. It was a very hot day, and so I think I had the most deliveries. I think I had 33 because a lot of the older residents couldn't get out to sit in the sun for that long. So I just want to encourage people between the mobile food pantry and human services to contact us if you're in need of food. It was a pretty big box of food this time, a good variety, and I know it's helping people get through the tough times right now with the funding all fluctuating. The next mobile food pantry is going to be on August 22nd. And again, if you can use food, if it will help you pay some other bills, please reach out and we can get you some food, either delivering on that day or through Human Services, we can get you some assistance. I also attended several farmers markets this month. It's every week on Tuesdays from 3 to 6.
Whittles is out there. I actually ran into a resident who had gone and gotten a bunch of Whittles products, and they were raving about it. So just a reminder that we have some really good farms coming to the farmers market, and to check that out on Tuesdays. I also attended on Saturday the 26th. We did a ribbon cutting for new business in the city right next to Danielle's Barbershop. There is a new place, Ready, Set, Glow, and I Love Lashes, and it's an aesthetic place, so they do lashes, massages, all that kind of stuff. They have a whole variety of services. You can look them up right on Facebook. I think the city had posted about it on their page, so you can click and it'll link you up with their pages too. The links are right on there. And or you can pop by, but you can book services online. It's a great little little business down there on Thames Street. I also have been attending the stormwater meetings through our economic development manager has been kind of managing those. And there's another meeting on this Thursday from 6 to 8. There's a meeting here in this room to talk about the design for the Five Corners area. So if you live in that neighborhood or you're just interested in giving ideas, you know, we all drive through there. They are looking for input, pictures, feedback, all of that stuff. That's this Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. for anyone that's interested in joining. And you can always, if you have ideas or photos or anything like that, you can always send them to the mayor's office and they'll forward them over to economic development to be part of that project. And, I also attended City Day, and I was one of 3 people, including the mayor, who was in the dunk tank. And I think that's definitely something that we need to make sure comes back next year, because there was a line the entire time for all, it was the mayor, then myself, and then the building official, Scott Reagan. And Scott decided to dunk me right before he went in the dunk tank, which was funny. But it was super fun, and kids loved it, and their parents loved it, and we had some staff come dunk us. So it was a very fun time, and I think next year we could probably do that through the whole event. We only did it an hour this time, and there was, like I said, there was a long line the whole time, so
There was.
it was
a lot
really
of people.
fun. And that's it.
Okay. City Clerk, anything?
I think City Day was such a success, and hats off to Parks and Recreation and the City Day Committee.
All right. I want to give an update on the overall project of Pelletier, meaning the front landing and the windows. So this week, they're coming to hopefully finalize the punch list. And then they installed the snow melt system. It was already installed, but they hooked it up and they did a live feed hookup. So there was an additional charge for that to the tune of $6,292.16. And that came out of the contingency that was passed earlier this year. And that contingency was $62,169. So once we are done with the final accounting and the punch list is 100% complete, I will then report out 100% to the council. Deputy Mayor Depot.
Is it appropriate to ask if we plan to reallocate that money or at the end of that project? Or if there's a ton of, if there's, extra contingency left?
It'll go back into the general fund.
Okay. I was just, okay.
So do you want to know what's going to happen to the money, or do you want it to go to a certain place? Is that what you're asking?
I was thinking if there would be an opportunity to discuss if the council was interested in allocating it to something that was cut out of the budget.
Let me talk to Director US on that.
Thank you.
Typically, it would go back, but since it's allocated, we'll see. I'll talk to him.
Thank you.
Okay, committee referrals. Are there any committee referrals? All right. Moving on to new business. Councilor Piazza.
Mayor, Resolution R-25-07-67. Oop, 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 oop. Touched it too much. Hold on a second. There we go. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council authorize and approve the purchase of one Clark forklift model S30 to include a 10% contingency for a total vehicle cost not to exceed $42,420.40 from Starlift Equipment, 829 First Avenue, West Haven, Connecticut, to be paid from fiscal year 2026 capital funds. I so move.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. This was discussed at the committee of the whole. Is there any additional discussion? Deputy Mayor Depot?
I just want to thank the new staff member, Josh, for coming to the meeting. One, it's nice to meet new staff and to, put a face to the name. And I appreciate him coming to discuss what this is used for so that I can pass that information along. So thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Deputy Mayor Depot.
Resolution R-25-8-79. Therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council affirm and uphold management's decision to issue an emergent purchase order to Arborio Corporation, 231 Shunpike Road, Cromwell, Connecticut, for an amount not to exceed $72,435.00, including a 10% contingency to install temporary pumping equipment and piping bypass to relocate the existing gravity sewer main and manholes as part of the seawall project as a non-budgeted expense to be paid from sewer available cash. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Director Gooday, please come to the table and turn on your microphone. All right, so there were questions at the last meeting regarding this project. I wanted to bring Director Gooday here so that he could explain the process and the timeline. So, Director, you have the floor.
The utilities first got involved with the seawall project in May of '24. And in May of '24, we came and we asked for permission to approve 3 different resolutions. One resolution was a project budget for the estimated relocation of the forced main, which we estimated at $350,000. At the same time, we asked for permission to issue an unbudgeted expense of about $17,000 to an engineering firm to do the engineering, and another, call it $80,000 or $90,000 to purchase the pipe for that project. You approved the pipe and the engineering, and we didn't move forward with approving the project. And the reason I mention that is because for that part of the seawall project, we're still waiting. Because Arborio and the project engineers and the leaders of the project haven't come up with how much it's going to cost to actually replace that force main. That being said, on May 23rd, Heidi came up here and gave a pretty good update. It was a cow meeting, and she told you that she was going to need additional funding to put in sections of the wall, and described the way that the utilities were in the way when we were, at this point, had just discovered over the last couple of weeks or month or so, at most about 6 weeks, that we were probably going to have to remove the gravity main. So the utility was waiting for a quote or what we could do, because the utility is not allowed on the site. The construction site's controlled by Arborio. So on the 23rd, you heard all that. And then on the 26th, the utility received a quote from Arborio to actually install a bypass for a certain amount of time, which is what this action item is. At that point, with consultation with the mayor, Ron Uhas, Heidi, Mike Weber, and myself, we made the determination that we needed to issue an emergent purchase order to move the project ahead. The reason we issued an emergent purchase order is because the contractor needed to install this the following week. So we discovered this on basically and got the quote on a Thursday, and we needed to allow the contractor and give him a go-ahead by the following Tuesday. We issued the purchase order by Monday, gave the purchase order to the contractor, and he was allowed to move ahead because that was also the July 4th week, so it was a short week. Emergent purchases out of the purchasing policy, in the event of an emergency, which is an emergency is defined as any situation or circumstance that will inhibit a department from providing delivery of services when said services are or may be needed. And this is directly from the city's purchasing policy and was adopted and incorporated into the new utility purchasing policy in the last rev that we just approved a couple of months ago. When feasible, formal written justification of the emergency purchase along with any and all pertinent information detailing the emergency shall be provided to the Director of Utilities and the Mayor for review and approval. When it's not feasible, the information shall be provided within 24 hours of the emergency purchase. So a true emergency, if we can't get the information to the mayor and I, will be executed by actually the general manager. The Director of Utilities shall be responsible to provide the justification and all pertinent information to the Utility Commission and the City Council as required. The purchase orders will be issued to the supplier by the general manager of the requesting department. So when we issue emergency purchase order, we actually issue the order and perform the purchase before we tell the Utility Commission or the council. We also have another way that we do, if we have time and it's not required within a couple of days, I'll say hot shot the approval process, which is either we come to the City Council before or after a Utility Commission meeting. So if, in this instance, the Utility Commission meeting was on July 16th, so if we had been able to schedule a Utility Commission meeting and a special City Council meeting in a matter of a week or so, we wouldn't need to do it emergent. We could actually do and get permission to issue the purchase order ahead of time. So we kind of do it both ways. And I wanted to just say that because we really like to get formal approval first. We want to minimize the amount of emergency purchase orders that we issue. That being said, when we issue the emergency order, the emergency meeting situation has been taken away. It's been deflated a little bit. So we can allow the information to go to council and commission in a more normal meeting set. We're not trying to schedule rush meetings or do anything like that. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know, but that is the way that I've been thinking about it, and I've been coaching the mayor with how I prefer to do it, and the way we talk about it in the utility. And your comments can always influence us to do it one way or the other. So we issued the purchase order, basically call it Tuesday, July 4th, scheduled it for approval, or actually I think the words we're using is affirming it on the 16th, and then we figured it would come here at the next routine meeting. And we've been using the resolutions as the way to prove that we've actually informed you that the purchase was made. There was the chance to get this probably to the Committee of the Whole on the 14th before the Utility Commission on the 16th, but to do that as a general rule, Maureen doesn't like going here first. We really like to give the respect to the Utility Commissions because they ask us questions. They were critical of us spending money on this part of the seawall project, and the same discussions that Heidi had with you at that COW meeting, basically we had with the group in the Utility Commission on the 16th. And that allowed us to prepare for what we thought you would want to know. But we did believe you were basically aware that we were going to be doing the pipe work for the seawall. With that said, you know, the Utility Commission was concerned about funding, they're concerned about the grant process. We've used our lobbyist who's still working on the bonding to try to get the state to bond it and try to make all of our costs, whether it be the utility costs and the city costs, as low as possible. And given the current situation, I don't actually see another way forward for the city, because the city's trying to fund and support this project in any way it can to get the road open and the utility lines back in service. The project does change day by day and all that. The water line, the water main that passes that area is currently isolated. It's anticipated that we shouldn't have to replace the water line in that area, but it is isolated just in case they do break it, so we don't do further damage to either the line or the soil around there. And we're not funded to do the water line either. Remember, the first pipe that came up a year ago was the force main. That's the pressurized sewage main. This is the one we're doing right now is figuring out how to get the gravity drain that actually goes to the pump station, taking care of that pipe. And then the next line that is close is the water main. And it's an evolving project. It does change day to day. With that, I'll answer any
We'll
questions.
open the floor for discussion. Deputy Mayor Depot.
Since I'm the one that made us think about this. So I think obviously it was an emergency, and I hope, I don't know if you watched the meeting, but I hope that came across. It's not that I doubted that it was an emergency. To me, this situation rarely happens, where the timeline is, you know, potentially mixed up, where you would have to bring it here first. But it has happened in the past where you've brought something here first, or we've had to do the work first. It happens occasionally. With this specific project, I think it just perked my, senses, because several people today asked me about this. Residents always bring up the seawall. They're all concerned about how that project is going. And so just considering that scrutiny on this particular project, I just wanted to make sure that the council is being as informed as possible. So I understand that the timeline that basically made it impossible because of the way that worked. I would have preferred that we at least get a notice about it before the work is done, so that people aren't asking us why we're spending all this money and we didn't even vote on it. And I understand what you're saying. We did get word that project, that sewer bypass would need to happen. But for example, like, in my opinion, a creative solution for this would have been to send the Utility Commission agenda to the council and say, there's an item on this agenda that is not going to get to you before the work is done because it's emergency. And so the Utility Commission is going to be able to, ask questions about it. If you want to attend that meeting, this is when that meeting is. I personally would have tried to make that meeting just so that I can hear what the commissioners asked and everything. And I think that's, again, it's valuable information that residents want to know. And for this specific project, again, we just get a lot of questions about it. So as a person who's, responsible for voting on that money, I always want to make sure that I have the best explanation possible and that I'm not in the dark when it comes to residents asking questions, because I think that's our job, to stay as informed as possible. So 100% needed, 100% emergency. I appreciate you coming and explaining more about how the timeline works. Obviously it was an emergency. It needed to be done for the wall to stay on track to get done. Residents understand that the wall needs to get done. They just want to make sure that we're all in the know of how that's happening and what's happening with it. And, we are fiscally responsible. We have a fiduciary duty to the residents, and just want to make sure that we're doing our best to uphold that. So thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Councilor Sheffield?
Could there have been a special Groton Utilities Commission meeting, like, much closer in timeline to July 4?
A
When,
joint meeting?
no, a special
No, no,
Groton
a
Utilities,
special joint meeting?
of the Groton Utilities Commission?
All right, ask your question again
I
because.
said it, no,
Please
could
ask
there
your
have been,
question.
could there have been a special Groton Utilities Commission meeting prior to July 16th to deal with the purchase that, so it could have came to the council sooner?
I don't know, what do you think? I mean, we have trouble getting a quorum there as much as we have a quorum, having challenges getting quorums here. In addition, all it would have done is just moved it up. It still would not have been approved before the expenditure of the funds. Is that correct? Am I correct? in that
That's
statement?
correct. So let's say we could have moved it up a week, and it would have been the week after July 4th. With an emergent purchase, once the decision has been made, we kind of don't think of it as an emergency anymore. So we're
Yeah.
not in a rush to inform. However, there was a very good, I like this, I like the recommendation of sharing agendas and sharing information as much as possible. We can definitely work on that.
Yeah, because that would have been the situation where have the special, Groton Groton, commission meeting, and then get it, and then if need be, see if council could have been available sooner for a special mayor and council to vote to where you expedite things, and then it's not, 7, 8 weeks later that, we're voting on it. So that's pretty much my concern. But of course, if the utilities is on board, and thank goodness they are, I guess, and, and I'm comfortable with the fact that long as it's a situation where it's getting done. But again, for the residents who aren't in the loop on everything and want to know why, we're doing this now when it was done back in early July, yeah, I mean, it's certainly a concern. My other thing was that this was a temporary installation that's being done. Will there be a permanent, because that's what I'm reading off the resolution, a temporary pumping equipment? Is there going to be a permanent equipment installed that you may have to come to us about this project?
There will be permanent fix, and there will be a permanent piping to be installed, and you will have to approve that when we get the quotes.
Do you have a potential estimate of what that might cost of the permanent part of that?
We've asked, and we really don't know. The force main, we estimated the entire project at $350,000. This is the gravity main, and the gravity piping is done a little bit differently. So internally, we haven't come up with a good estimate on that because we generally outsource gravity mains. So we don't do that work internal, we ask for quotes external. And it depends exactly how it's going to reroute because those lines aren't highly pressurized. It's just kind of flows by gravity downhill. So the current bypass, actually, the piping comes down into a pit, is going to a pump, pumps up around to the piping, and then continues downhill to the pump station.
So I'm assuming that with this project, for the permanent piece, maybe possibly up to $500,000, potentially, it's somewhere in that area?
Potentially, but I hope not.
Okay. And of course, we'd probably have to go potentially a bond. I'm not sure where we would get that much to.
So currently, I figured you might ask about funding. If you were to look at our budget numbers, we're actually using available cash, which means we're not using budgeted funds, we're using the cash. And the current estimate of the funding for the sewer company at the end of fiscal '26, which is at the end of the current budget year, is $850,000 above recommendation by the cost service study to have in the checking account. And the reason we have that cash on hand is for contingencies, emergencies, and things that break that aren't anticipated that you're kind of trying to self-insure. So we do have, at the end of this fiscal year, if we do all our budget spends and everything as predicted, we have $850,000 above the recommended cash level in the checking account to help support overages and stuff. So currently, that is the funding that is not, it's not budgeted, so we're not allowed to spend it. We have to come to you and say we're using cash on hand, or come to you and create a budgeted project. Hey, we're going to spend $350,000 to move this forced main. We're anticipating using that, and then it would come out from that cash on hand, and it would go to a little bucket to say, okay, we can spend up to this on the budget.
Okay.
And that's similar with the questions that you had about the paying of Trails Corner event.
Okay. Thank you.
So the seawall, once the seawall is the project, the gravity drain is interference, it is in the way, and that's why we had to bypass it. We're going to remove it. And once the seawall is completed, then the gravity main and the forced sewer main will both be relocated back into the roadway. And then that is a separate and distinct project from the seawall project. And then the paving will occur, and then that'll be the last thing, and we'll be done. So any other questions or comments on this? Councilor Piazza.
Thank you, Mayor. So I wanted to clarify one thing that you said to make sure I heard it right. For the main break, water main break, you said that it wanted to make sure that it doesn't get damaged. So what's the chance of it getting damaged?
There's always a chance. I won't put a percentage on it.
Okay.
Right now, it seems less likely that it'll be damaged than more likely. But when you're using heavy equipment, and if it were to rain a lot and it were to get muddy and the equipment's walking by close, you know, the ground could move a little bit. It's just like parking on that ball field was okay because it's fairly stiff ground. As a general rule, that's where the pipes are, in a fairly stiff area. But if it got really soft and rained a lot, odds might go up. But so far, the contractor, he doesn't want to cause that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We just are taking contingencies.
And with all this happening, are we still on the timeline for the project to be completed?
The project's actually being managed by Heidi and a whole other group. We're kind of funding, and Arborio and the project is in control. That's why we can't really take it over and own the project and do estimates. So we're really funding the part we have to because we're a willing participant that's kind of being pulled instead of driving.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Where are we? Councilor Talley.
Resolution R-25-8-80. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council affirm and uphold management's decision to issue an emergent purchase order to Wesco Receivables Corp. Lockbox 771751, 1751 Solutions Center Drive, Chicago, Illinois, for an amount not to exceed $91,999.60, including a 10% contingency to purchase 1,000 MCM wire needed to make repairs to Trails Corner Substation as a non-budgeted expense to be paid from electric available cash, pending the approval of the Groton Utilities Commission Water Pollution Control Authority. I so move.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. This is discussed at the committee of the whole. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Counselor Sheffield.
Resolution R-25-08-81. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council affirm and uphold management's decision to issue an emergent purchase order to Powell Electrical Systems Incorporated, P.O. Box 843823, Dallas, Texas, for an amount not to exceed $549,925.20, including a 10% contingency, to restore the 35 kV utility feeder and bus 4 at Trails Corner Substation as a non-budgeted expense to be paid from electric available cash pending approval of the Groton Utilities Commission Water Pollution Control Authority. I so move.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. This was discussed at the committee of the whole. Also, we have a Groton Utilities Commission meeting this week, and we anticipate, that this will be approved. This is on the agenda. Any questions or comments? Councilor Sheffield.
Similar to having available cash for sewer, how's our electric available cash? Is that balance strong as well?
The recommended available cash on hand by the cost of service study is $15 million. At the end of this budget year, we're anticipating to have $15.5 million on hand of checkbooks in Groton. The rate stabilization fund at CMAC currently has $13.5 million, which is $3 million heavy on recommendation. So we have approximately $3.5 million above recommended contingency funds.
Okay.
So, good question.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, council, for coming out. Thank you, Ron, for coming
Thanks,
and
Ron.
answering the questions and clarifying our policies.
Recording stopped.
It's kind of like my DEI in our book.